right, we've had some excitement here even before the game kicks off. Looks like everything is okay, and it is hot. Hottest game on record in the history of the stadium, 89 degrees. On the field, it is over 100. You saw the thermometer just a couple of minutes ago. And something that the players will have to deal with as this game goes on. There's Frank Reich. What a memorable year it was last year to begin his tenure in Indianapolis. That's a 1-5 start, but a Colts team that really caught fire, won 9 of their last 10 games, including that Week 17 showdown here in a win, and your in-game catapulted them into the postseason. Hard to believe it's been 9 months since that game. There's his counterpart, Mike Vrabel, also in his second season at the helm of his team here in Nashville. And we spent time with both coaches. Both teams, Arch, clearly businesslike on both sides, knowing the importance of this game in just week 2. And there is the accident that we had with the pyrotechnics machine just a couple of minutes ago. The grounds crew was on that thing in about 2 seconds. The fire that was raging for a few seconds was quickly put out, and it looks like the smoke has stopped as well. So good news.
That was not a small fire. I mean, that thing was very fortunate that they were able to control that, but that was not a small fire. And wow, what a scene.
Exactly. Fans were a little bit concerned on that side of the field, but again, give the grounds crew all kinds of credit. Got it under control quickly, and it looks like we are ready to play football. Indianapolis winning the toss. They have elected to defer, and so Frank Reich will put his defense onto the field with Marcus Mariota, and Tennessee set to receive the football. Another look. This was the machine just kind of caught fire. Not sure how it happened. They were just getting ready for the national anthem, and everyone's attention quickly was diverted to a fire raging just about 5 or 6 feet off that sideline.
I think they're taking the "it's hot on the field" thing a little too seriously there, Spiro, trying to break records.
Look at you.
But, it is a little steamy in here, I have to admit.
Now, you've played in this kind of weather before. It is hot. It feels like a preseason game.
It's tough. And if you can withstand maybe the first couple drives and get over that initial fatigue and let that kind of second wind kick in, it just kind of hits you early, and that's the hard part in playing in the hot climates like this.
So Rigoberto Sanchez on to get the party started, and Darius Jennings back deep, standing about 4 or 5 yards in his own end zone for Tennessee. This is a head-to-head matchup that has been owned by Indianapolis. They've taken 17 of the last 20 meetings. That dates back to 2009.
Footnote, owned by Andrew Luck.
That's right.
You know, so maybe a new era here that Jacoby Brissett has to kind of build his own mark against the Titans.
Tennessee all-time was 0-11 against the Colts when Andrew Luck was the starting quarterback. A little bit of a short kick by Sanchez. Jennings has some room to maneuver out across the 25-yard line, so decent field position to start as Jennings gets it out too close to the 27-yard line. So here comes Marcus Mariota. Good start for him. Mariota, of course, didn't play in that Week 17 showdown between these two teams last season. He was out with that neck injury, but a very, very efficient start for him last week.
And one of the keys that he even spoke about yesterday in our meetings is that he kind of put on a little bit of weight, and he wants to be more durable so that he can play the entire season and not sit on the sideline.
Derrick Henry, the lone setback. Mariota fakes the handoff, the pass a little bit behind his intended receiver, and it falls incomplete. That's Delaney Walker, who had that multi-touchdown game last week. Walker coming back from that devastating ankle injury that he sustained in the opener last season, missed the remainder of the year. One injury note, Ben Jones was added to the injury report this morning by the Titans. Woke up feeling a little bit under the weather, but he has strapped it on and is making the start at center. So good news there for Tennessee. 2nd and 10 from just inside their own 28. Here is Henry. And that awesome start to his season last week. No room to maneuver there. Justin Houston and Danico Autry dump him down for a loss of 3. And this Indianapolis defense under Matt Eberflus last year really took a step in their development, hoping to have another big year.
Well, you saw that last play. That's the key when you play against Derrick Henry. He is a big, fast, long striding running back, and you've got to get to him before he can turn the corner. If you let him pick up a full head of steam, that's where he's at his best, and a good job by the Colts to get to him in the backfield.
Dion Lewis gives him a breather here. Mariota on 3rd and long. Over the middle, it is complete. That's the tight end, Walker. It appears to be well short of the first down. They needed the 38. They pick up only 11. And so 3 and out for Tennessee. And the Titans will punt.
Now, 3rd downs, and you go back to last game, the Titans were 2 of 10 on 3rd downs. And a lot of that was because they were in a lot of 3rd and long situations that they just couldn't convert. They know with the style of offense that they play, that if they get positive 1st down gains, they're going to be in a much better position to convert on those 3rd downs and extend their drives.
So here's Brent Kern, number 2 in the AFC last season in average yards per punt. Behind only Sam Cook of the Ravens. Chester Rogers back deep, and he will field it from his own 15-yard line. Rogers has some open real estate. Crosses the 30. You see the flag come in. The second marker comes in from behind the play. Chris Milton on the tackle. Good looking punt by Kern. 50 yards, 18 on the return by Rogers. And we'll get the call here from our referee today, Clete Blakeman.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 44. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down, Indianapolis.
Penalty on Zaire Franklin, so that negates a pretty good return. 18-yarder by Rogers. And that leads the way for Jacoby Brissett. Single game high in terms of completion percentage last week. Nearly 78% of his passes completed. Very economical with how they ran their offense. That really centered around their running back, Marlon Mack. As Brissett makes the 17th start of his NFL career. Little play action to Mack. Brissett throws across his body. That's the tight end, Jack Doyle. The Indianapolis native who grew up in the shadows of Lucas Oil Stadium. Tackled by Malcolm Butler, I beg your pardon, a pickup of 8. As we take a look at the starters, and the offensive line was the story last year. Of course, for years, they couldn't seem to build an offensive line around Andrew Luck. This has become quickly one of the better groups in the NFL.
Especially maybe after like week 4 or 5 of last year. When Quentin Nelson really started to find himself. That's the rookie left guard from a season ago. Once they started going, that's when the offense really started to take off for the Colts.
Little delayed handoff to Mack. And that'll be a 1st down run for Mack. And, he probably still doesn't get enough credit and talk around the country for how good he has become. You put his numbers from about the middle point of last season arch up with any of the elite running backs in the NFL.
Really, when you look at it, it's striking. All the big names, whether it's, Zeke or Gurley or Saquon, Marlon Mack is right up there. And I think, certainly the star of the show last year was Andrew Luck and, his comeback last season. But now I think it's evident that Marlon Mack is a guy you can build your offense around. And the more touches you give him, the stronger he gets as the game goes on, and is always a threat to hit you with the big run.
Fresh set of downs. Brissett under pressure, and he is buried. Brissett dealing with one of the better secondaries in the NFL. It's a loss of 7. Sharif Finch and Daquan Jones credited with the sack.
Well, a really nice job. You know that Dean Pease is going to scheme up a lot of different looks. Last week, the Colts played against a defense that was pretty vanilla, and they lined up in one coverage. But Pease is going to scheme up a lot of different looks. Jarrell Casey running a little inside game there, getting to Brissett, and he can't get the ball out of his hands on time.
Brissett's dealing with 2 of his former teammates in New England, Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan. Here's Rodgers, quick hitting strike to him as he spins his way across the 30 and then going nowhere. Excellent push, Logan Ryan, the aforementioned cornerback. 2-time Super Bowl champion on the first contact. After a pickup of 5, it'll be 3rd and long.
That's one of the things now, especially here on 3rd and long, when we talk to Logan Ryan in our meetings, they take a lot of pride in their veteran secondary. They're an athletic defense. They've got good, fast linebackers, and they really like to disguise and give the quarterback a lot of different looks. On this down is when Dean Pease like to run his exotic looks to try and confuse Brissett. Let's see how Brissett can handle this look on third down.
Brissett goes to his check down. Look at Ebron leapfrogging a defender. Incredible play by the tight end. Eric Ebron, you'll see that on some highlight reels tonight. A pickup of 13 yards and an Indianapolis first down.
Really starts up front with the protection. This is a exotic look by Dean Pease. They pick up the blitz, and Brissett doesn't panic in the pocket. He gives it to Ebron, and then he just kind of does the rest. What a season that Ebron had last year. All those touchdowns. Dropped a touchdown last week that was kind of a big play, but it's good to see him get involved and make a big play early for the Colts.
A couple of faked handoffs by Brissett. He's going to take a chance. Brissett up the seam, and it is incomplete. This will be a pass interference. Deon Cain, the intended receiver, and Adoree Jackson was the man on the coverage for Tennessee. And Cain thrust into a big role today with the collarbone injury to Devin Funchess, who went down last week in that loss in Los Angeles. Here's Cleve Blakeman.
Pass interference. Defense, number 25. Ball replaced at the spot of the foul. First down, Indianapolis.
Turns out to be a 46-yard penalty and will give Indianapolis a first and goal inside the Tennessee 9.
That play was really made by T.Y. Hilton. The other guy, the other receiver on the other side of the field, drew so much coverage that they didn't see Cain sneaking behind the free safety.
See how good the Colts were in their red zone offense last year. Brissett somehow escapes the sack initially. He's going to run for it here. Brissett out of bounds inside the 5. You see him tripped up just beyond the sideline. Didn't want to take any chances into the end zone as he's run out of bounds. It was Matt Dickerson who had him dead to rights. Just couldn't squeeze him.
I tell you, this Tennessee front, with the addition of Cameron Wake, I mean, they got after the Cleveland Browns last week. Now, this is just an assignment bust up front from the Colts. You can't have a free hitter going at your quarterback, but boy, do they get after the quarterback, especially on the edges. I would anticipate Cameron Wake maybe licking his chops a little bit going against the Colts right tackle Braden Smith.
Now this Tennessee defense, number 3 in the league last season in scoring defense. There's a little shovel pass. It is Ebron for the Indianapolis touchdown.
This one right here is all Brissett. Look at how long he holds this run fake. They're going to fake the run here. Kenny Vaccaro is in man-to-man coverage with Eric Ebron, but watch how long Brissett holds it. He holds it, and just at the last second, he flips it up to Ebron, and he gets in for a touchdown. Really well done, well-designed play, but that was made by Brissett having patience holding that fake.
Creative play calling by offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni, year 2 form, as he has taken the reins of this Indianapolis offense. So they capitalize on the penalty against Adoree Jackson. 7 plays, 78 yards, and Jacoby Brissett was perfect. 4 for 4 for 29 yards. Ebron gets the Colts in front. Well, that 46-yard pass interference penalty against that man, Adoree Jackson, proves costly for Tennessee as Eric Ebron, the recipient, the shovel pass from Jacoby Brissett to get Indianapolis on the board first. Rigoberto Sanchez boots it away from his own 35 as Tennessee will have it for the second time. This one through the back of the end zone. And so here comes Marcus Mariota. And there's so much importance for Mariota from an individual standpoint. Contract year, 50-year option that he's playing on of his rookie year. Of course, missed the Week 17 battle between these two teams. He called that one of the hardest moments of his football life in our conversation with him on Friday. Just a gigantic year for Mariota.
I think it is, and you know, he really wants to stay healthy. And I don't think you're going to see as many quarterback designed runs and a lot of improvisation plays that we've seen from Mariota in the past. They really need to protect him and keep him inside the pocket.
Here's the handoff to Henry. And we asked Mariota about his offseason. He said his #1 priority was physical.
Sure.
Just trying to bulk up, put some weight on. And we asked him, did you kind of change out your workout regimen? And he said, no, I'm just trying to eat more, snack more throughout the day. He says it's been tough for him to keep the weight on. But he says he's playing about 10 pounds heavier than he did last year. See his numbers, incredible. Last week, only the second opening day win for Mariota in his 5-year NFL career. You have to go back to his rookie season against Jameis Winston and Tampa Bay. That pass right through the hands of Derrick Henry. Henry, of course, had that huge 75-yard touchdown catch last week. As we go to New York, first update, JB and Coach.
Austin Eckler picking up where he left off.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns last week. JB, 1 today from 1 yard out. Also the 35-yard reception. 4 touchdowns on the year. Chargers lead the Lions 7-0.
Back to Spiro and Adam.
All right, guys, we will have the Chargers next week in a big AFC battle at home against the Houston Texans. 3rd and 7 as Mariota here will work from the gun. Nowhere to throw initially, so it goes over the middle. This is the rookie A.J. Brown, who had that monstrous performance in his NFL debut last week. 3 catches for 100 yards. But so they come up short again, and so Arch, a couple of 3-and-outs for Mariota in this offense to start the day.
And really what it stems from is not getting productive on first down. In their first drive of the game, they tried to hit Delaney Walker, but the pass was a little bit behind him. So now you're looking at 2nd and long. This time they led with the run by Derrick Henry, who was stuffed at the line. So to me, the key is for both teams, the Titans offense and the Colts defense, who can win first down.
Kern got off a 50-yarder on his first, and this one's even better. Rodgers backpedaling. He's going to play it from inside his own 5-yard line. Pretty good return, all things considered. 61 yards on the punt and a dozen on the return by Rodgers. 7 and change left to play. First quarter, 7-0 Colts.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pepsi. Always be celebrating. Experian. Raise your credit scores instantly with Experian Boost. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Eat, drink, and breathe football and wings.
On Tuesday, Titans running backs visited DuPont Hadley Middle School, where they donated supplies and interacted with students, encouraging the kids to stay active. In honor of its 100th season, the NFL is encouraging fans to join in a volunteer initiative called Huddle for 100. You can choose a cause, volunteer 100 minutes of your time, help share what your community will look like for the next 100 years. Just visit NFL.com/huddle for 100 to track your minutes and get rewarded. Terrific initiative here and around the NFL. Marlon Mack, the lone setback. Second offensive possession for Indianapolis. On the strength of that Eric Ebron touchdown catch in front. Here is Mack. A lot of room to maneuver as he quickly finds the edge, run out of bounds as we get a penalty marker now. This one could be coming back.
Holding. Offense. Number 64. Penalties half the distance to the goal line. Replay first down.
That's Mark Glowinski negates a 22-yard run. That's actually the first offensive penalty of the season for Indianapolis.
Right there, Glowinski, number 64. See, he can hold. That's clearly a hold. And boy, he let off the 2nd-year outside linebacker, Harold Landry, who should have been back there to keep the force on Mack. So the Titans dodge a bullet right there. That was an excellent read by Marlon Mack to hit the backside, but now the Colts are backed up.
Jordan Wilkins, the 2nd-year running back out of Ole Miss, into the game. Brissett fakes to him on 1st and 19. Pass too high and falls incomplete. It's the backup tight end, Mo Ali Cox, the intended recipient.
Well, great first drive for Brissett and the Colts, and I thought it was important. You see him try and move the pocket right there, but I think it's important to attack this secondary and give them something to think about deep, because if you don't get them to back off, then they're going to sit on routes, they're going to read the quarterback, and that's how they get those interceptions like they did last week against the Cleveland Browns. So I thought it was a really smart design on the first series of the game from Frank Reich to loosen up that Titans secondary that can get real aggressive if you give them the chance.
Well, Brissett saw something he didn't like And that play clock was nearly down to zeros as Indianapolis avoids a penalty. So the Colts will take their first time out with just under 7 minutes to play before the end of the quarter. And Indianapolis in front 7-0. You're watching the NFL on CBS. This week, Colbert's all new with Senator Elizabeth Warren, Billy Crystal, and tomorrow catch Tom Hiddleston. Plus from the Talk, Marie Osmond. All new Colbert this week on CBS. Tough circumstance here for Jacoby Brissett and Indianapolis. 2nd and 19 after the penalty. Pinned back inside their own 10. Here's Mack, unable to make the first guy miss. As this Tennessee defense still underrated, you get the sense. You talk about the best defenses around the league, and Tennessee not the first unit that'll come to mind, but they should be. Jayon Brown making first contact.
They've been real stingy since Vrabel has taken over, averaging 18.6 points per game. And I keep mentioning it, this is an athletic defense. Both Jayon Brown and Rashaan Evans at linebacker, tough to move the ball.
Quick strike here is Hilton. They needed to get out to the 28-yard line. He'll be well short, run out of bounds once again by Brown, who made significant strides in last season, his 2nd in the NFL. As Frank Reich will send out his punt unit on 4th and 6. So here's Rigoberto Sanchez, his first punt of the afternoon. Well, last year there was only 93 return yards on Sanchez punts. That was the fewest in the NFL, and that's one of your priorities as an NFL punter. Was at the top of the NFL in that key category. This is Adoree Jackson trying to cut back, and then he is met by a wall of Colts. Excellent coverage down the field by Indy. 63 yards on the punt by Sanchez. And kind of a ragged start, Adam, for this Tennessee offense.
Really is. And, you mentioned the first down success, putting him in 3rd and long. But I also think that, you don't want to force it if you're Mariota or the Titans, especially here early. So you've seen him check it down before the sticks. But at some point, they're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive and run their routes and throw these passes on 3rd downs on the other side of the first down marker.
Man in motion is Corey Davis as they begin from their own 28. Little play action. Mariota goes to Henry. Good play to get this drive going. Pickup of 8. We'll see where they mark the football. Matthew Adams on the tackle. As Tennessee trying to get this offense in gear.
Nice productive play. Now look, you're looking at 2nd and 1. Much different. You have a lot of different options here. You can run it with Henry, maybe pick up your first down of the game, get the chains moving. So I wouldn't maybe anticipate a shot play here. The Titans need to find a way to pick up this first down and get a new set of downs to start this drive.
On 2nd and short, pitch play. Henry, first down Tennessee and more. Now close to the 45-yard line, a pickup of 8. Finally tackled by Khari Willis for Indianapolis. What a terrific start it was for Tennessee last week under their first-time offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and finally able to move the sticks.
And it's amazing because you look at Henry's size and you think, oh, he's just going to punish you inside, but his best runs are on the edge. They love to get Henry on the edge, give him a head of steam so he can get one-on-one with safeties and cornerbacks.
That's Adam Humphries in motion. 1st and 10 from their own 45. Play action for Mariota where he's so effective off of Mariota on a strike. And the officials say it is a catch. Tajae Sharpe. 15 yards and another first down.
Good sideline work right there by Sharpe. And wow, really well done. Drags both feet as the Titans get up to the line quickly there.
Not wanting to allow Frank Reich to throw that challenge flag. That was Sharpe's first catch of the season. Wide receivers, and this goes back a couple of years, have not been very prolific, shall we say, here since Marcus Mariota took over the reins in 2015.
Yeah, that's a position group that they have tried year after year to kind of revamp and retool. They took Corey Davis so high as a first-round pick a couple years ago. This year they spent a high pick, a 2nd rounder on A.J. Brown. They signed Adam Humphries over from Tampa. So that part of their game is certainly a place where they have to develop and get better.
On 2nd and 7, the fake handoff to Henry. This is Davis. It was quiet last week. Davis making significant strides last season, the former 5th overall pick. But he's been a little bit inconsistent considering how high they drafted him. And you see what they did last week at the wide receiver position. Humphries, whom Arch just mentioned. It was all A.J. Brown and not much else to speak of last week in Cleveland.
Yeah, they're hoping. Remember Corey Davis, his first game? I think it was against the Oakland Raiders. He was just a man among boys, and then he just kind of disappeared. So I think they're hoping that A.J. Brown can build off what he did last week and be consistent here in the early part of the season for Mariota.
Yeah, they didn't need much from their wide receivers last week on a day they scored 43 points behind Henry and this guy, Delanie Walker, going airborne. First down Titans, and suddenly Tennessee's offense is moving, a pickup of 8.
Tough play for the Colts. This is cover 2, and they just want to run the option route away from this linebacker. You see Walker, he has the outside leverage, runs a little option route, and Mariota hits it with good timing between the linebacker and the corner to pick up another first down. Now, in the red zone, they were exceptional last week. You've got to alert Delanie Walker, his favorite target in the middle.
There's Henry trying to cut back. Henry inside the 20. So hard to bring down once he gets going downhill. 6'3", nearly 250 pounds of solid muscle. It's a pickup of a dozen and another first down.
It's tough to bring him down one-on-one. See Mariota getting up to the line again, putting some pressure on that defense. The Colts have to get multiple hats on the ball at the line of scrimmage to tackle Henry. Now this is where they get creative. This is where they got creative last week using Delanie Walker with some really well done and well designed plays to free him up.
Mariota 4 for 4 so far in this drive. They go back to the ground game, and Henry, ball is loose. Let's see what the officials say here. We didn't hear any whistles whistling the play dead. Looks like Tennessee has retained the football, so their drive will continue as we are inside of a minute. And we asked Darius Leonard, what do you think of trying to bring this guy down? And said, first thing you have to do is you have to stop his legs. Matt Eberflus calls it hamstring tackling, and Archie, looked like that ball did indeed come out early.
Yeah, Al-Quadin Muhammad, who is starting for Jabal Sheard, comes over and punches that out. But the Titans were 3 for 4 in the red zone last week, and really came down to their play-action passing game. So the Colts linebackers have to do a good job reading run and pass down here.
Could be the final play of the quarter. Mariota over the middle. It is caught just short of the end zone. It's Darius Jennings, and it will be 1st and goal Tennessee. It's a pickup of 11.
Nice job by the Titans clearing out the middle linebacker and then running Jennings right behind him to work the middle of the field.
So a couple of 3 and outs for the Tennessee offense, but this series, they have been impressive. Tennessee knocking on the door as we head to the second.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. And by Corona Extra. Find your beach.
Back with you in Nashville as we get set to start the second quarter. Tennessee knocking on the door. You see the numbers so far. An Eric Ebron touchdown catch has been our lone scoring. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta, rest of our CBS crew here from Nissan Stadium. Mariota play action to the end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. And some trickery. It's David Quessenberry going out on the pass route. And Tennessee on the verge of tying this game.
I told you, down in the red zone, the Titans like to get tricky. Here's Quessenberry right here playing tight end. On the line, they're going to fake the play action and watch him sneak out number 72. How about that? Tennessee Titans in the bag of tricks. Really well done.
There's Arthur Smith, who is a first-time NFL offensive coordinator. Has been with this franchise as an offensive assistant going all the way back to 2011. Well, they scored 43 points last week, most points they've scored in a game in nearly a decade, and he was still lamenting a couple of missed calls from that big win in Cleveland last week. Shows you just how much of a perfectionist he is. First career touchdown for David Quessenberry, the second-year man out of San Jose State. What a moment for him as Tennessee comes back, and we are tied in this AFC South battle on CBS. David Quessenberry going out for a pass, landing up as a tight end. His first career NFL touchdown catch in his second season. We saw Mike Vrabel do that a couple of times during his NFL career as an all-pro linebacker.
A little soft spot for the big uglies up front. I really thought that they were going to give it to Derrick Henry, so they fooled me as well.
Everyone was fooled. So Tennessee offensive line still playing without they're all pros. We get a fumble here. Paris Campbell muffed it for a moment, picks it up. Turns out to be a pretty decent return, all things considered, as he is run out of bounds close to the 25. But Taylor Lewan, I meant to say, still out, serving that 4-game suspension for Tennessee. Well, as we continue to celebrate the NFL's 100th season, we take a stroll down memory lane. How about Peyton Manning's first career playoff game? It was against the Tennessee Titans, 1999 AFC divisional round. Eddie George running wild, the 68-yard run. Manning's offense just couldn't get into a rhythm as Tennessee wins it 19-16. They would go on to lose to the Rams in the Super Bowl. And there is Eddie George. He's going to have his jersey retired here at halftime. They will do the same for the late Steve McNair. What an emotional scene that will be here during the halftime intermission. Here is Brissett. Nowhere to go down the field, so he just throws it into the turf. We get a little bit of extra stuff after the whistle. No flags thrown. As we head back to New York and update JB and Coach.
Best way to handle frustration, Coach.
That's Adrian Peterson, a healthy scratch last week. This week it's a 1-yard touchdown run. It's his 107th rushing touchdown in his career. The Washington Redskins 7-0 over Dallas.
Back to Spiro and Adam.
Guys on the shelf. We never know what to expect. AP keeping his body ready and making an early contribution there for the Redskins. Marlon Mack, the lone setback. Brissett from the gun on 2nd and 10. Mack. It's a good looking run. Gets out close to the 35-yard line. A pickup of 8. You saw Mack's numbers from last week. Career high 174 yards. 153 came in the second half. He had that career long 63-yard touchdown run in the third quarter to bring them with an 8. And then the 2-point conversion that got that game in overtime. Guy has been on a complete tear going back to about week 10 of last season. 3rd and 2, Arch. What are they doing?
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to tell before they break the huddle and come out in their formations. A lot of it depends on the Tennessee Titans, who look like the Colts kind of want to talk it over right there. But in these situations, I think, you know, you go back to last year, it's really hard to know what you're going to get this year because it's a different quarterback, and both Brissett and Luck have different tendencies in what they like to do. But to me, when it's in 3rd and short or 3rd and medium, everything on the Colts passing game starts with the crossing routes. Starts with the crossing routes to beat man coverage, and then they always have a tight end. If it's zone coverage, it sits right in front of the ball for a 10-yard gain. So that's where it starts, and depending on what Tennessee does defensively, then the Colts adjust from there.
And we spent time with Brissett, with Reich. The quarterback, such a deeper understanding of this offense when you compare that to 2017 season when he had to start 15 games in the absence of Luck, who back then was out with that shoulder injury. 3rd and 2. They didn't get it off. Wow. Just inexcusable coming out of a timeout.
False start. Offense, number 7. The 5-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
See, watch the clock running down and then clapping of the hands. And I got to tell you, I didn't really see a lot there from Brissett. I know that Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona in the preseason had that problem with his quarterbacks as well. That was a really good job of the Titans pre-snap disguising their look waiting till the clock was running down to get in their final defensive formation.
Brissett on 3rd and 7. It's incomplete. And there is the marker. T.Y. Hilton, the man who was the intended target. What a battle between Hilton and Malcolm Butler today. We'll get the call here from Cleve Blakeman.
Well, when I saw this live, we're going to have to see a replay. I thought Butler played this perfectly. I thought he basically ran the route for T.Y. Hilton. Good hands there. And I don't see how there's any way you can call that pass interference.
This, of course, now is a reviewable play. We'll see if the challenge flag comes out from Mike Vrabel.
Now, the league, they haven't overturned a lot of these calls that have been challenged. I think
pass interference, defense, number 21. Ball replaced in the spot of the foul. First down, Indianapolis.
I think they've only overturned about 13% of the challenges, but if I was Mike Vrabel, I would challenge this. That's within 5 yards. He gets his hands off him, and then their feet kind of get tangled up. To me, that's incidental contact.
Arch, I don't think he's going to challenge it.
I think he knows what the odds are and the percentages are, but that should not be called a pass interference.
He still has 3 timeouts. You'd think maybe he would take a chance with that challenge flag, but interestingly, Vrabel does not challenge as Marlon Mack is run out of bounds right around the 40-yard line.
I think it's interesting because, so far this year when it comes to the challenging the pass interference, it's got to be indisputable. It has to be so obvious that it wasn't, and I think coaches are scared now to maybe pull that trigger because they don't want to waste a timeout in that situation. But to me, that should not have been an interference, and I thought Butler played it well.
It's a great point, as the officials and the coaches all adjusting to this new rule. So massive in the NFL this season is Mack trying to find the edge. Will get out close to the 43-yard line. And it will be another big 3rd down coming up for the Colts.
A little bit like last week. Remember when the Browns went right down the field in their first drive and scored, and then Tennessee tightened up? And that's kind of what you're seeing right now. A really good job setting the edge right there by Harold Landry. And that's one of the things that Frank Reich talked about, that he thought the Titans were much better than the Chargers at setting the edge, and that was going to be a big challenge for his offense running the football.
What is Reich call here on 3rd and 7? Brissett escapes, still on his feet. Brissett is right there. We'll see where they mark the football. What an effort by Brissett, escaping 2 would-be sacks. Jayon Brown had him on 1, and Brissett ends up gaining 7 yards, and this one is going to be awfully close.
Well, Cameron Wake just screaming around the corner. Jayon Brown blitzing. And then Brissett somehow, some way, and does he make it? And it looks from that angle that the ball is short of the first down marker before his back hits the ground. Mike Vrabel,
first down Colts. What a play by Brissett.
And this one also could be, worth a challenge as well, but is there going to be any indisputable evidence? That one was close.
There's a first down line, not 100% accurate.
So to me, the ball is in his right arm, and when his back hits the ground, it's short of the first down line when you go by the first down marker. But again, it has to be clear and obvious for them to overturn it. What a play by Brissett to get away from the Titans' pressure.
Play action from Brissett. Here they come again. He escapes again. Oh my. Brissett's been a Houdini so far, as Tennessee just can't seem to wrap him up. This time it was Austin Johnson who's making the start today for Brent Urban, who was a scratch.
Offense, number 56. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
It's Quentin Nelson on the penalty. So Indy played such a clean offensive game. 3 offensive penalties so far in this game.
Here's the hold here, but watch this game by the Titans on the right side. Braden Smith does not see this coming. Just an excellent job by the Titans looping around and getting to Brissett. And again, Brissett, he's a big guy. You know, we've seen Andrew Luck in the pocket shake off a lot of defensive players, but Brissett is strong in the pocket, and you've got to wrap him up and make sure you get him to the ground because he's got great escapability back there.
6'4", he's almost 240 pounds. And Tennessee having some issues bringing him to the turf. Here is Nyheim Hines. Able to bounce it to the outside, out close to the 45-yard line, a pickup of 5. Back to New York, JB and Coach.
Steelers, first touchdown of the season.
Of this season, how about that? That's James Conner, 1-yard touchdown run here. It comes off of a turnover by the Seattle Seahawks. Pittsburgh takes a 7-0 lead in the second quarter.
Back to Spiro and Adam.
All right, tough start for the Steelers last week as they play their home opener. Keep you updated on that score as the day goes on. Jordan Wilkins has checked into the game for Indianapolis on 2nd and 15. We'll see what Wright calls here with Brissett under center. That pass deflected and incomplete. Good pressure off the gut as Kamalei Correa, free agent or trade acquisition, I should say, from the Ravens last week, getting his hands on the football.
You know, that's the one thing that Jacoby Brissett said when we talked about the Titans defense and all the different looks that they give you and all the disguises, is how important it would be to stay on schedule. And in the last few drives, you've seen mistakes and penalties put the Colts in 2nd and 3rd and long situations, and that is not where you want to be against the Titans on defense.
Here they come on 3rd and 15. Brissett throwing a dart. It's complete. T.Y. Hilton, who feasted on this Tennessee defense last season. 19 yards and a big first down.
What a great rip from Brissett. They line up in a bunch formation. The Titans are playing zone coverage. T.Y. Hilton to the top of the screen. Runs a little in cut. And right out of his break, the ball is right there on the numbers in that seam. An excellent job from Brissett, reading the defense, getting the ball out, and picking up a huge 3rd and long.
Hilton, who reminded everyone that he is still indeed among the NFL's elite last week with those 2 touchdowns, over 80 yards receiving. Mack able to get going downhill close to the 25-yard line. Finally tackled by Kenny Vaccaro. And suddenly this Tennessee defense playing on its heels. It's a pickup of 10.
Mack has excellent vision and instincts. And on a lot of his big runs, you're going to see him run behind number 56. Look at this combination block by the left guard, Quentin Nelson. This is outstanding how he gets up on that linebacker, and that's all it takes. Mack is a running back that if you make a mistake and get out of your gap, he has the speed and acceleration to hit it for a big play.
And a delayed handoff again. Here's Wilkins. Wilkins has some room inside the 15, nearly down to the 10. And Archie, just can't talk enough about this Colts offensive line. Took them forever to finally get their act together up front. But last year, blocking for Mack in the run game, they protected Andrew Luck for the first time, maybe ever. And it starts with that left side, Nelson and Costanzo.
It really does. And between the two of them, you almost never get pressure or sacks on the quarterback. But they just kind of found their identity. And you know, even Jacoby Brissett said they have so much confidence in their approach to the game, they think they can handle any defensive front.
Mack back into the game. Well, they took Nelson with the 6th overall pick in the 2018 draft, immediately paying dividends. Costanzo, of course, has been a mainstay at left tackle all those years blocking for Andrew Luck. And you know, that's the biggest difference for Brissett. You think about that 2017 season when he started the 15 games. He was sacked 52 times, most of any quarterback that year in the league. This is a far superior supporting cast up front.
It's been a priority for this Colts team for so long, and they finally got it right. And you can certainly say the offensive line is the strength of the offense.
You know, what a couple of years it's been for their general manager, Chris Ballard, and his staff, retooling this team. Here's Brissett to the end zone. It is caught for the Colts touchdown. Paris Campbell That's it. Perfect pass, hitting him in stride for the 12-yard touchdown connection.
Well, Paris Campbell comes from the other side of the field. This is a deep crossing route at the back pylon, so you need a lot of time for this route to develop. The offensive line gave Brissett all the time that they needed. This is an outstanding job. Campbell's going to come from this side of the field, but look at the protection. This is against man-to-man coverage. Campbell runs away from his leverage to the back pylon, and a beautiful pass from Brissett for the Colts to answer.
First career touchdown catch for Campbell. The rookie out of Ohio State they took with the 59th overall pick. He's out of Akron, Ohio. And the extra point is no good. Unbelievable. Whoa. The early season struggles for the future Hall of Famer Adam Vinatieri continue. Missed those 3 kicks last week, and that's his second missed PAT. Hard to believe. 6-point Indianapolis lead. There's Adam Vinatieri, another missed extra point. Hard to believe. Go back now, 3 straight regular season games that he has missed a point after. You go back to week 17 of last season. We remind you to keep it here. Halftime report brought to you by Verizon comes your way next. JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach gets you around the league in this week 2 in the National Football League. The Verizon halftime report is next. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta. As this kick by Sanchez booms its way through the end zone. Last week, Adam Vinatieri, who could very well be the best kicker in the history of the sport, had maybe the worst game of his career. Certainly statistically it was. Missed on that 46-yarder. Missed on a 29-yard attempt, and then an extra point. It certainly loomed large in a game in which they would go on to lose in overtime 30-24. Vinatieri said if he was a GM, he would have cut himself after that game. But you're certainly allowed a couple of those games, and you've had the kind of career he has had. But missed extra point here, and that suddenly is becoming a story. Hard to believe for a guy who has been automatic in his 24-year career. Corey Davis on the catch to get the Tennessee drive started.
Yeah, that is not something that you want to become a story, but you know, he's been so good for so long. You just got to believe that this is kind of an anomaly, right? That he's going to figure it out, because certainly I don't think that that's a trend that's going to continue.
Crowd quiets down for Tennessee's offense. Mariota under center with Dion Lewis, the lone setback. On 2nd and 3, here is Lewis, who was quiet last week. This will be a first down run for the Titans. Tackled on the play by Darius Leonard. It's a pickup of 4 as the Titans able to move the stick. So they struggled on their first 2 possessions, both 3 and outs, but they're suddenly starting to move the football.
Yeah, it's amazing what this offense does when they pick up first downs and they get to start. They start to get in a nice play calling rhythm to kind of open up their offense.
Polar! Bang, bang! Bang, bang!
Here's Mariota, well protected. He'll spin and gets out close to the 39-yard line. Al-Quadin Muhammad on the tackle. Boy, not a bad rookie debut as an NFL offensive coordinator last week for Arthur Smith. They scored 43 points, most in a road game in 11 years. As he was promoted from their tight ends coach, but taken over from Matt LaFleur, who of course is now the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. But they want to be aggressive, and they certainly were one game in.
Well, you know, I always got to credit the defense. They did score a lot of those points off of turnovers, so the defense did their job as well. But yes, 43 points in a second half where this offense was really unstoppable.
Quick strike here to Humphreys. A big free agent acquisition in the offseason. Crowd didn't like some of that extra pushing right around the whistle. Pierre Desir and Rocky Sin, the highly touted rookie out of Temple, combining on the tackle.
Yeah, this secondary is a younger secondary, and Pierre Desir kind of earned the starting job last year, and he has been outstanding. He is a 6'1", 195-pound corner who plays physically and is not afraid to stick his nose in there and tackle.
What does Arthur Smith dial up here on 3rd and 8? Dion Lewis picks up the blitzer. Mariota gets a block. He springs free, and Mariota going airborne. Desir was there. He had him right on the sideline. There is a penalty marker back at the Tennessee 34-yard line. We'll see if this one's coming back. What an effort by Mariota.
Holding. Offense, number 78. A 10-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
That's the former All-Pro Jack Conklin, their right tackle.
Colts going to come with a pressure, and there's Conklin, number 78, right tackle. Look, I appreciate this from Mariota. I mean, it's an athletic play, but this kind of stuff, you go get the first down, but that's the kind of stuff that's going to get him hurt. I mean, he falls funny right there. I mean, you love the competitive nature of that, but that's part of being careful. He probably could have got the first down by just running for it. And that's one of the things that he's got to concentrate on when dealing with his health.
And he is going down again. Football is loose. We'll see what the officials rule here. If it was out early, Dennis Kelly is able to fall on the football as Mariota takes another pounding. It's a loss of 13 yards. Denico Autry will get credited with the sack.
Denico Autry had a heck of a year providing pressure last year. This is a game that they're going to run. Watch how the Colts run this game. Autry sets the double team, splits the double team, makes first contact, gets the ball out. And Muhammad.
That ball was out early as Tennessee averts disaster.
Yeah, no doubt.
Autry coming over, signed that free agent contract from Oakland last season. Current punting from deep in his own side of the field, tries to angle it out of bounds. We'll see where the officials mark it here, as it lands right around the 42, maybe 43-yard line of Indianapolis. Early season battle in the AFC South, and Indianapolis gets it back, up 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, the network more people rely on. Papa John's. Get a large meats or works pizza now at papajohns.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Now, what a scene that was. Regular season finale last year here in Nashville with postseason berth hanging in the balance. And Indianapolis with a double-digit win to get them into the postseason. And we touched on just how much Andrew Luck had mastered this Tennessee franchise over the years. 11-0 from Indianapolis's point of view. But boy, if there was one team happy to see Andrew Luck go, it was the Titans.
That's an incredible number when you think about it. But hey, things have changed now. So the AFC South, all of a sudden, who knows how it's going to shake out. But the Titans, on paper, have a talented roster and have a good chance.
Colts, the reigning AFC South champs. So this is a South division that always seems to be up for grabs. Can't overstate the importance of this game. Early season week 2 here in Nashville. As that Tennessee run defense was there. Good support from the secondary by Malcolm Butler. And it will be 3rd and 6 for the Colts.
Boy, Malcolm Butler just did an incredible job reading run from the corner spot. He just flew up there and made the tackle. These Tennessee corners, they're tough. Both Butler, Logan Ryan, tough, smart players. Adoree Jackson, the former first-round pick, is about as athletic as it gets on the outside. Colson showing a bunch here to Brissett's right, trying to get the Titans out of man-to-man coverage.
Butler, of course, had that pick 6 late last week. 3rd and 6. Brissett fires, and it is picked. Intercepted. It's Logan Ryan, his former teammate in New England. No flags. The battle between these two is going to be fascinating as this day goes on. Titans get it back.
This is incredible technique by Logan Ryan in the slot. He's playing outside leverage on Hilton, which means he wants to force him to the inside. He stabs with the outside hand, but then look how he transitioned out of his break. He gets right out of his break, undercuts the route, and picks off Jacoby Brissett. That is outstanding technique and a huge play by Logan Ryan.
First interception thrown in the young season by Brissett. So here's Mariota, far side of the field. It's incomplete. You know, we asked both players about the other. They played together in 2016. Brissett was running the scout team as a rookie in New England, and Logan Ryan got his first kind of glimpse of the young first-year player. But it was Brissett who told us, you know, he could very well be the smartest player that I played against early in my career. Says, you know, his offensive tendencies and schemes as well as anyone I played against. As this strike is caught. Mariota delivering a strike to the tight end, Delaney Walker, a pickup of 15 and a first down.
Yeah, going tempo right here, getting up on the ball, trying to catch the Colts in a predictable defense. Looks like Colts are playing cover 2.
That'll get us to the 2-minute warning as the Titans
quickly
move inside Colts territory.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AARP, Real Possibilities, and by Bud Light, reminding you to keep it crisp responsibly.
Oh, hard to believe it's been 10 years since Steve McNair was tragically killed. His number 9 and Eddie George's number 27 will be retired. Two legendary players in this franchise's history. 1st and 10, 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Here come the Colts. They protect Mariota well. Goes to his check down out of the backfield. This is Humphreys. Clock still running with $1:50 to go and counting. Titans have all 3 timeouts. Anthony Walker on the tackle.
Yeah, great open field tackle there by Walker. And really the Titans, there's no real rush here. You've got plenty of time. You're in positive territory.
Mariota is buried. They get to him for the second time, and guess who? It's Autry again. Both Indianapolis sacks by the former Raider. And it looks like Indianapolis takes a timeout. And why not? Maybe they can get the football back. We'll break back to Nashville in 30 seconds after this from Progressive Insurance.
Label this thing. Yeah?
Here's Mariota, 3rd and 17, just barely gets it out in time. It's Dion Lewis able to wiggle his way down to the 46-yard line. It's a pickup of 5. There is a flag here. We'll see what it is from referee Clete Blakeman. Justin Houston was applying the heavy pressure. And suddenly this Indianapolis defensive front able to generate some heat against Mariota.
They sure. Danico Autry has just dominated up front today. 4 tackles, 2 sacks. And that bears watching. Tennessee had a hard time blocking Cleveland's front last week. And right now the Colts front is starting to find their stride a little bit and getting after this Titans offensive line.
An extensive conversation here between Blakeman's crew and Frank Reich, assuming this is a Tennessee penalty, and it is, as they mark it back now to around their own 43-yard line, just outside the 43.
Tennessee's defense is on the field right now. Nope, now they're coming off. Mariota's going back out there.
Arch, whatever this is, it's just taking too long. As both units now will come back onto the field. Blakeman now will have some more conversation with his colleagues.
I think there should be a limit on how many stoppages there are in a 2-minute situation. To me, it's one of the most exciting.
Illegal shift on the offense. It's a 5-yard penalty, but that penalty has been declined. Brings up 4th down.
All right. So the life squeezed out of the game for a couple of minutes, but looks like play is finally ready to resume. As the penalty after all that is declined, as they come up short of the first down regardless. So Much ado about nothing, and kind of a disheartening finish to that drive for the Titans.
Really is, but they're going to have an answer, especially for Autry, who has just kind of dominated up front.
So Indianapolis is going to get it back. They're out of timeouts with 1:21 left to play. You see the temperatures that they've been dealing with. It feels like almost 100 degrees on the field. Hottest game on record here in the history of Nissan Stadium, 89 degrees. That number will be shattered today. And so thankfully for the players, that sun will eventually start to set. And hopefully for them, temperatures will cool. Here's Rodgers. Signals fair catch from just inside his own 10-yard line. 37 yards on the punt by Brett Kern. Another reminder to keep it here. The Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the crew standing by in New York. Take you around the NFL. I'm told that Antonio Brown has scored a touchdown in his Patriots debut.
With his shoes on?
I believe his shoes were on.
Didn't he show up to the stadium with no shoes today?
Always an adventure with Antonio Brown as the Verizon halftime report comes your way next. Well, there's Adam Vinatieri. He has become part of the story, as you just have rarely seen in his 24-year career. Missed point after earlier. He had the missed 3 kicks last week, a couple of field goals and an extra point in that overtime loss out in L.A. Ebron with the catch over the middle. It was the Ebron touchdown that got the Colts the first points of the day. And we should point out Indy will get the football to begin the second half.
Yeah, both teams have been kind of feast or famine. They both had one 10-plus play drive, and the rest of them, I think it's been mistakes and sacks and negative plays that haven't allowed them to move the ball.
Rodgers with the catch and able to stop the clock here with 52 seconds left. We'll see how aggressive Frank Reich is, Adam, with his play calling.
You've got to be careful because Tennessee can take the ball away. The secondary, they already have 1 interception, so you don't want to do something silly before halftime. They still have a ways to go with no timeouts to pick up a field goal, so you've got to be really careful that you don't make a mistake.
.52 seconds left. That pass is incomplete. Rodgers just couldn't squeeze it. A little bit low from Brissett. But certainly in the catch radius of Rodgers. Only 4 seconds come off the clock, and it will be 2nd and 10. Now, Brissett, one thing he has done in his 17 career starts, he hasn't turned the football over much. In fact, he entered the day with the lowest interception rate in the history of the NFL. Hard to believe. Just 1.3 entering this one. Of course, he was picked earlier in the quarter by his former teammate Logan Ryan. Brissett protected well. Goes right back to his wide receiver target. This time it's T.Y. Hilton. Tackled by Kevin Byard. It's a pickup of 9, and that clock running. No timeouts left for the Colts, as they'll snap it here from their own 32. Looks like they won't take any chances. This is Hines. That'll be a first down for the Colts, but no timeouts left, unable to stop the clock.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Super tough against this defense. And I'm a little surprised, maybe setting themselves up for maybe a Hail Mary situation, but I'm a little surprised that they ran the football there, thinking that maybe they're going to run out the clock, and then they get up and spike the ball. So a lot of time going off the clock by running the ball there with Marlon Mack.
About, let's say, 15 yards to try to get under the outer edges of Vinatieri's field goal range.
But 14 seconds, if you catch this ball down the field without stopping the clock, that means in the middle of the field, it's going to be tough to get up there and spike and stop the clock, so you've got to work the sideline here.
Here's Brissett all day to throw. Puts him there under. This one will sail out of bounds. Excellent coverage down the field by that Tennessee secondary. And now just 5 ticks of the clock left. Longest career field goal for Adam Vinatieri, a 57-yarder back in the 2002 season. But I'm not sure he's going to get a chance here with just 5 seconds left.
Not a lot you can do here. I don't even think. I know Brissett has a strong arm. Remember when he came in last year for Andrew Luck and threw the Hail Mary pass?
That's right.
So he's got a strong arm, but it's going to be tough to try and get to the end zone. So look for some sort of catch and run. Titans have to tackle well.
Here's Rodgers catching it behind the line of scrimmage. Rodgers sprung free by a couple of tackles. And that'll take us to halftime here in Nashville as he is run out of bounds by the safety Kevin Byard. It's a pickup of 15 as we reach halftime here in Nashville. 13-7 Indianapolis with a 6-point lead at the break. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. Emotional scene here in Nashville as the jerseys of both Eddie George and the late Steve McNair retired here. Eddie George speaking to the crowd. We just heard from some of the family members of Steve McNair, his widow Michelle, and the rest of the family here, his brother. And certainly an emotional scene. Hard to believe it's been 10 years since his tragic passing back in 2009. As we now take a quick look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. So a little trickery, misdirection. The shovel pass from Brissett to Eric Ebron, and that got the scoring started. Indianapolis on the board first as we welcome you back into the booth. Spiro Dedes and Adam Archuleta here in scorching Nashville. Temperatures in the triple digits down on the field. Efficiently played game for both teams. A little bit of a struggle for Tennessee to start. Found some answers with their offense.
I think, you look at both teams. First, Tennessee. They had one long drive where they went down the field and they were able to score. A lot of that was because they were successful on first down. On the other side for the Colts, kind of the same thing. When they've made mistakes, they've stalled their drive, but they're able to stay on schedule. They went down the field and they were able to score there as well. So I think both teams have to minimize their mistakes and their negative plays there in the second half to give their offense some breathing room.
Take a look at what we've seen from this Indianapolis defense. Really kind of taking a step in their development last year under Matt Eberflus. And really, it's been a good start for them again here in 2019.
Derrick Henry has 6 carries for 22 yards. That's outstanding. I think the Colts in this game have tackled extremely well, and they've been able to pressure Mariota. Danico Autry inside. 2 sacks on the day, has been almost unblockable. And so I think for Tennessee, offensively, they've got to figure out a way to take that pressure off of Mariota and do a better job blocking this Colts front.
Some of the first half numbers as Henry so far held in check, as you just heard from Adam. See the third down work that Indianapolis did. They were a top 5 third down offense last year. And so those numbers have held true, but Colts have had Tennessee's number for a lot of years. They've taken 17 of the last 20 meetings, including that stretch in which they won 11 straight at one point. Trying to get another one here in week 2. 9 months since these two teams connected in that week 17 showdown here last year with a postseason berth on the line. A game won by Indianapolis by Andrew Luck against the Titans team that day, playing without Marcus Mariota. Meantime, the halftime jersey ceremony continues here. Eddie George continues his remarks to the fans. One of the all-time greats. And it is hot. Still 95 degrees. The real field temperature down on the field, Adam, is still right around 100 degrees. And you just wonder if fatigue is going to become a factor in this game down the stretch.
I think it does become a factor, especially if both teams can run the football. Talk about Eddie George. There's so much talk about how big Derrick Henry is out there. But I played against Eddie George, and he was kind of like Derrick Henry of 20 years ago. He was a big, punishing, tough back. Both Eddie George and Steve McNair, when I think of them and playing against them a bunch, those were 2 tough guys. I mean, those guys were 2 of the toughest opponents you were going to play against, and hats off to those 2.
Yeah, we asked Mike Vrabel, who of course goes all the way back to Ohio State with Eddie George, played against him for a number of years in the NFL. He said the one thing that came to mind with George and players of that era, certainly the same could be said for Steve McNair, is that they played at a time when you didn't have to be full strength to strap it on and play. A different era.
Tough.
Eddie George, all-time rushing leader in the history of this franchise, and McNair, who put his body on the line every single time he put that helmet on.
McNair would take a beating, and he would just keep coming right back for more. I mean, you could just pepper him all game long, and that was back when you can actually hit quarterbacks and kind of inflict some damage. But certainly one of the toughest quarterbacks that I've ever played against.
Boy, and Eddie still looks good, doesn't he? Looks like he can still strap it on and maybe give him a couple of yards. What a great scene here as we are just about ready for the start of the second half. There's Jeff Fisher, longtime coach of this franchise. As no one will again wear those two numbers, 9 and 27, forever immortalized here in Nashville. So great to have you with us. Week 2, this battle in the AFC South between the Titans and the Colts. Indianapolis, the reigning champions. And how about this little nugget? Indianapolis has led at the half now in 12 straight games in this head-to-head matchup that they have owned over the last decade. Here's Campbell, who had the touchdown catch late in the second quarter, trying to run some yardage out close to his own end zone. We'll see what the flag is here at around the 28-yard line. Campbell, the second-round pick taken by GM Chris Ballard, and we'll see if this one is coming back. Adam, I got to say, I know we're waiting for the call here. This may be the quietest NFL stadium I've ever been in at the moment.
Yep. Everybody's looking for shelter. It's hard
sweltering heat.
Only the people in downtown Nashville like hooting and hollering when it's hot out. You know what I mean?
There are 2 fouls against the return team on the play. Holding number 44. That penalty's declined. Personal foul, illegal double team block. Return team number 14 and 20. That penalty is half the distance to the goal line. First down, Indianapolis.
All right, so Pascal and Wilkins called for that double team block on the kick, which of course you can't do anymore in the NFL. So we are just about ready. First play from scrimmage for Jacoby Brissett. And you were impressed with what you saw from him. Of course, the one mistake on the interception by Logan Ryan.
You can say that was really just an exceptional play by Ryan. I mean, it's really kind of hard to fault Brissett on that. Ryan just played it as good as you can.
They begin the third quarter with a give to Mack. You know, we asked Frank Reich about Brissett, and he said he's just such a genuine guy. The players respond to him because he's not about himself. He said he's the kind of guy that you want your daughter to marry.
Yeah. That's high praise.
So they begin the Jacoby Brissett era in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I remember when he, first came here, that late night trade when he had to get ready and got thrust into the starting lineup when Luck was hurt. And I've always been impressed with his presence and the way he comes across. Like, you can tell, and he says this in his own words. He said, like, I'm ready for this moment. And you can see it in his play. So I'm excited for what the future holds for Brissett.
Brissett faking right, tucks it away. We'll see what he does here. Try to run for a couple as he is banged out of bounds by Rashaan Evans after a pickup of 2. Again, well covered down the field by that Tennessee secondary. It will be 3rd and 7 coming up. It's been a long, circuitous road. He started his collegiate career at Florida. Jeff Driscoll, the #1 quarterback prospect in the country, kind of took the reins. So he left, went to NC State. Finished strongly, then taken by New England, 3rd round of the 2016 draft. He was their #3 quarterback. That big Thursday night win in week 3 of that 2016 season kind of turned some heads for the first time. Then the trade on the eve of the 2017 opener. A couple of weeks later was their starting quarterback with Andrew Luck dealing with that shoulder injury. And here he is making his 17th career NFL start. 3rd and 7, throwing a dart, and it's incomplete. Well played by Malcolm Butler. Intended for Deion Kane. And this is the kid they're hoping can kind of figure some things out. The NFL rookie now stepping up in the absence of Devin Funchess.
Yeah, he really is. He's got to beat the press coverage of Butler. And how about the first 2 weeks Butler has had? Maybe signed the big contract early last year. Didn't maybe play as, lived up to the expectations. I think he settled down as the season went on. But so far here in the first 2 games, he has played lights out.
Punt by Sanchez fielded. This is Jackson. And Tennessee will have excellent field position inside Indy territory to begin their second half offensive drive. 44 yards in the punt and 16 on the return. Tennessee down 6 on CBS. Look at the real field temperature down on the field. Over the 100 mark. And how about that goal line marker? That hasn't been burned by the sun. There was actually a little bit of an accident with the pyrotechnics machine here during the pregame. It's been a fun day, to say the least, so far here in Nashville. You see what they have done with their early possessions. Mariota faking out the defense, nearly getting tangled up in that chains crew far side of the field. Clayton Gethers finally able to force him out of bounds, but not before Mariota picks up 7.
Tough tackle in space. Here's the thing that you can't do. Mariota's going to take it out here. You can't wait. You've got to go attack it. Gethers is responsible for the quarterback on the quarterback read, and he freezes. You've got to be aggressive. You got to shoot at the outside leg, because Mariota is a good athlete and will make you miss around the edge.
Hand off here to Henry. This will be a first down run for Tennessee as he's inside the 30-yard line. And of course, all the talk with Mariota entering the 5th and final year of his rookie contract. Could this be a make or break year for him here with this franchise, as they've got some big decisions to make after the season? See the play selection till this point, as Arthur Smith once again leaning on that play action passing game.
Colts are playing man-to-man coverage, and the Titans keeping that corner short on the edge. Always a threat for the zone read concept.
Another RPO. This pass over the middle. It's caught. Davis inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal, Tennessee. As the Titans going right at Pierre Desir. It's a pickup of 26. And Desir a little bit late to get to his feet, as the medical and athletic trainers onto the field quickly for the Colts. Desir, their starting corner. 6th season, came over from Seattle, who cut him, placed him on waivers back in 2017. Really kind of became an integral piece of this Indianapolis secondary last season, but he's been a player who's dealt with some injuries. We'll break back in 30 seconds after this from AARP. There's Pierre Desir, able to gingerly make his way to the sideline on his own power.
See this, keeping that shorter, or that corner short right there. Mariota is always a threat to keep it on that side.
Mariota going to the end zone, incomplete. Flag comes in from the corner of the end zone. Jonnu Smith was the intended receiver. Clayton Gethers was there on the coverage, as we get the call here from Blakeman.
Prior to the pass, holding defense. Number 26, coming half the distance to the goal line. 1st down, Tennessee.
So Gethers the culprit right there.
He was in good shape. He just got to have confidence to just turn his body and resist the urge to reach out with your hands. The Titans, this is the adjustment here in the second half. The Titans have gone to their shotgun spread formation to attack the Colts. They're 12 and 13. 2 and 3 tight end sets haven't worked in the first half.
There's the handoff to Henry. Touchdown.
It's a nice job faking the run. That's going to freeze this player out here. He's got to play the bubble screen, and there's nobody to replace in time to get to Derrick Henry. I think last week the Titans went to their 2 and 3 tight end packages in the second half. This week, the adjustment, let's come out, let's play 3 wide receivers, get in shotgun, and run our zone read concepts, and it worked.
Second rushing touchdown of the season. Cairo Santos is good on the point after, and that Adam Vinatieri missed PAT suddenly looming large as Tennessee moves in front.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McCafe Premium Roast Coffee. Good is brewing. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Derrick Henry's touchdown run gets Tennessee back in front. As we rejoin you from Nashville, temperatures in the triple digits if you've just joined us. Could very well be the hottest game on record in the history of the stadium. And this is a big one in the AFC South. 14-13, Tennessee in front. Paris Campbell watches that one sail through the back of the end zone. It was the chess match between Jacoby Brissett and this Tennessee defense, specifically the secondary, continues. Facing two of his former teammates in New England, Malcolm Butler, who had the pick six last week, and Logan Ryan, who has already intercepted Brissett in this game.
The Colts are having a hard time beating man coverage right now. They're having a hard time beating press man. And last week they played a defense that played primarily three deep zone. And so for the Colts, now maybe look for some crossing routes, some pick routes, but they have to do something to free these receivers against Tennessee's secondary.
Little fake handoff from Brissett that appeared awkward. He goes to Mack. Out of the backfield, and Mack lunges up close to the 35-yard line. Tackled in the play by Harold Landry. So a good gainer on first down, a pickup of 9.
So here's a good example. This, if Brissett just shows a little bit of patience, this is T.Y. Hilton crossing the field. And if he shows a little bit of patience, he might be able to squeeze that in there, but he dumped it off.
On second and short, with a read option play, this is Mack on a first down run. Springs his way and spins out close to the 40-yard line, as Indianapolis will move the sticks. It's a Colts team that nearly came back last week. They were down 24-9 in LA against the Chargers, scored those 15 unanswered points, forced overtime. But it was not enough down the stretch as they lost for a 6th consecutive season in a season opener. Can certainly get rid of some of the bad taste in their mouths if they can get a huge win in the division here on the road in week 2. This is Wilkins with a medium-sized gain up the middle. It's a pickup of 3 as he gives Marlon Mack a blow.
I think both teams are doing a really nice job against the run. Tennessee only with 42 rushing yards. Indianapolis has 76 rushing yards, but there just hasn't been a lot of space up there for these running backs to get big plays.
On 2nd and 7, Wilkins again. Now, the reason why this is a 1-point game, the missed point after by Adam Vinatieri back in the first half. Tennessee able to answer Derrick Henry's touchdown, as Vinatieri has now missed a point after in 3 straight regular season games, going back to that Week 17 game here in Nashville. Of course, last week the 2 missed field goals, the point after, first time in his 24-year career that he missed 3 kicks in 1 game. As it looks like Clete Blakeman will bring out the chains crew to measure here. From our vantage point, they appear to be about, let's say, a couple of inches short.
Yep. I would expect the Colts to go downhill and hand this ball off to Marlon Mack on this play. More than likely right behind number 56. Who's that guy again, Spiro? Who's 56 for the Colts?
It's hard to miss. Quentin Nelson, young man they took with the 6th overall pick. First team All-Pro, Pro Bowler last year as a rookie. Andrew Luck told us last year he has the broadest back that he's ever seen.
Old broad back. But something tells me right behind Nelson and Costanzo.
Brissett told us that he's still in regular contact with Luck. They spoke earlier this week. Their relationship away from the game continues. 3rd and inches. Brissett. First down, Colts.
Brissett just looking. There's a gap to his left. The A gap to his left, right next to the center, in between the center and the guard, is wide open. And so that's easy. He's just going to take that gap, and a guy with the stature of Brissett can pick up that first down easy on the quarterback sneak.
You see what they did with their ground game last week. Mack had 153 of those rushing yards in the second half as they forced overtime before coming up short. Here is Doyle. It'll be another Indianapolis first down. So a good drive here as they try to answer the Titans scoring drive. A pickup of 13 and another first down.
It's a really nice job by Brissett getting pressure here, so he's just going to get up and dump it to the outside to his left. He senses the pressure from line, good pass protection, and he knows exactly where to go. Jack Doyle alone in the flat to pick up another first down.
Yeah, 426. 31. 31. Let's go. 118. Set.
Little misdirection play. Tennessee was not fooled. It's Evans able to blow up neck as the Colts lose 3.
Oh, this is called key and diagnose. Right up the gut. Rashaan Evans, the second-year player, first-round pick, 22nd overall, and that's how you get aggressive. See the guard pull, hit your gap, and make a play in the backfield. Outstanding by number 54.
Evans, the first-round pick out of Alabama last year, started slowly as a rookie after missing most of training camp. But boy, did he come on strong down the stretch, became a key piece. Brissett pump fakes, football's loose. What's the ruling here? Tennessee football.
I think the ball just slipped out of his hand, didn't it?
Well, these guys have worked up a lot of perspiration in this heat. It was Harold Landry who fell on the football.
So here's the question, Spiro. Was his arm going forward?
Well, it certainly was going forward. Then he pulled it back. This will be interesting here.
Yeah, this is a tight one here. He's saying that the ball was going forward. This is the old, kind of like a tuck rule, I guess, right?
Yeah, once he brings it back, that incompletion scenario goes out the window. So that a fumble recovered by Tennessee as Brissett turns it over for a second time today.
Just at the last moment, he hesitated, brought it back, and it comes out of his hands, and the Titans capitalize.
So the Titans a chance to build on their one-point lead. Second straight drive for them that begins inside Indianapolis territory. Henry cuts back. That's what makes him so unique. He's so big, Arch, nearly 250 yards. But that ability to get to the outside, that cutback maneuverability as he picks up a dozen. Let's go back to that turnover as Tennessee quickly gets to the line of scrimmage. We'll take a look after this play. Play action for Mariota. Under pressure, and he is sacked. Third time for Indianapolis. Grover Stewart getting there first for the Colts. It's a loss of 8.
Stewart's just going to come right up the middle, number 90, and this was a two-man route. Play action pass, two-man route, and nobody downfield was covered. Just a great effort by the Colts up front. Again, attacking the interior of the Titans offensive line. The Titans have had a hard time right over the center and both guards blocking the Colts defensive line.
Stewart, third year out of Little Albany State, the former fourth-round pick. Henry, the check down, where he ran into his own man. Awkward looking play that time for Tennessee. Ran into Jameel Douglas, who's making a second straight started right guard for Kevin Pamphile, who's still out with that knee injury, and it will be 3rd and 15 coming up.
Well, if you're the Titans and Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, and Mike Vrabel, the head coach, the rate that Mariota is getting sacked has to be alarming. You know, that's really showed up last week against Cleveland. Their inability to block up front. And in this game, the Colts D-line has taken over as well.
Mariota nowhere to throw at the football. Still looking. Going to run for it as he turns the corner. And may have gotten him in the field goal range with that little extra burst. Clayton Gether is able to force him out. But that's an instance where Mariota not forcing anything down the field. And will give his field goal kicker a chance.
It's a great job of making something out of nothing. But for the second play in a row, there's nobody open downfield. That time it was a three-man route. and he had no choice but to tuck it, run, and get as many yards as he could.
So here's Cairo Santos, signed just a couple of days before the opener after Ryan Succop was placed on IR. Santos was good last week, 2 of 2 on field goals, including a 53-yarder. This one from 49 yards out, and it is good. So credit Mariota for getting them into his range, and then Santos does the rest. That signing paying some early dividends for John Robinson and Tennessee. Titans build on their lead on CBS. The second turnover committed by Indianapolis, but those 2 turnovers have only been turned into 3 points by the Titans.
Credit the Colts D, and that was with good field position as well. So good job by the Colts D of getting off the field.
And Mariota had to make a decent play just to get them into the field goal range of Santos, as Brissett will have it from his own 25-yard line. Last couple of possessions for the Colts. And so Jacoby Brissett making his 17th NFL start today. Threw the interception earlier to Logan Ryan, and then the fumble that turns into a Tennessee field goal.
Yeah, and I thought that they really started to kind of get something going there on that last drive, but you know, the ball, I guess sometimes that happens. The ball just slips out of Brissett's hands.
Marlon Mack, the long setback. Brissett fakes to him. The pass deflected in the air, and it was nearly picked. Boy, Evans will be thinking about that one tonight. Off the hands of Doyle. And Evans, who made the defensive play earlier, nearly had the diving pick.
This is so well played by Logan Ryans in the slot. The RPO, he reads the quarterback, breaks on Doyle, and then almost gives the young linebacker a chance at a pick. Logan Ryan has been all over the field today making plays on the ball. That was outstanding way to play the zone read.
Draw play to Mack, very close to a first down. What did Brissett tell us yesterday about Logan Ryan, his ex-teammate? He must play Madden the video game all day because he knows offensive scheme and tendencies really down cold. It's incredible.
Really enjoyed talking to him yesterday. You know that he is a cerebral player, knows so much about the game. And here's 3rd and short.
The give to Mack, who tries to cut back, and he has it. What an effort by Mack. Boy, they had him for a loss, and that second gasp will give the Colts a first down.
Now, I thought Kenny Vaccaro off the edge had the initial shot at Mack. This is an incredible run by Mack. Look, Vaccaro is free, and then somehow Mack spins out of it and takes a shot by Logan Ryan. But that is an excellent play. That's just pure instincts right there. Make the extra guy miss, make something happen, and pick up the first down.
Green 18, set.
Mack gets a rest here with Jordan Wilkins back onto the field. Brissett off the play action, goes to Wilkins, far side, and then he's forced out of bounds by Jayon Brown. Mack, what a year he had last year. People forget, you know, he rushed for almost 1,000 yards. He missed 4 of the first 5 games of the season dealing with that hamstring injury, but he turned it up over the second half of the season. Did he ever? One of the key pieces to a Colts team that got back into the postseason.
Yeah, certainly the combination of the offensive line, Marlon Mack, you know, Luck getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. They completely turned around this offense. But I think as this season goes on, the focal point of this team on offense is going to be Mack in the run game.
Colts down 4 with Mack still on the sideline. Here's Wilkins, who's been battling an ankle injury. A pickup of 3 here as we come up on the final 2 minutes of the quarter. 3rd and 3 for Frank Reich in this offense.
Now, credit the Colts right now. They are 7 of 10 on 3rd downs. So they have done a great job, and a big part of that is because I don't think Tennessee has been able to pressure them. Now, Cameron Wake, number 91, is on the field. He's right here. He's right here, and he's got to have a factor on this play.
Saw Brissett quickly clapping to try to get the attention of his center,
Ball start.
Ryan Kelly.
Offense, number 7. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And that's on Brissett.
And they've got to get this snap off, and you know, the Titans were misaligned here. Malcolm Butler wasn't in the right place, and that's the second time that the clock was winding down on third down and they got pushed back. One was a false start, and then this. I mean,
March, that's the second false start penalty today against Brissett. Something you rarely see from the quarterback.
And it's because they ran out of time and he's trying to get the ball snapped.
3rd and 8 after the penalty. Brissett, here they come again. Barely gets it out. It's incomplete. Nyheim Hines was lit up by Brown.
This is great pass protection by Hines, but watch the blitz. I believe it's Kenny Vaccaro, the safety. But watch this collision. Great blitz pickup, but Brissett feels the pressure from that. Bam! Great job by Glowinski, but the penetration of Vaccaro gets Brissett to move inside the pocket, and then a nice stick by Brown to cap it off.
Boy, Hines involved in 2 collisions on that play. First, the terrific blitz pickup, as Arch pointed out, and then gets his bell rung by Jayon Brown. Fair catch signaled after a very nice punt. 50 yards by Sanchez. 4-point lead for Tennessee on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage.
Marcus Mariota, efficient start to his season, has Tennessee at their own 13-yard line, up 4. And a pitch play to Henry, breaks the initial tackle, he's out past the 20, 1st down and more. Marcus Hunt on the tackle. Arch, you've been impressed so far with Mariota.
Well, it hasn't necessarily been a flashy game. He's got 122 yards passing, but he's been efficient, and when he's had to make some key plays, he's been able to do that. Now, he's been terrific in the red zone. And then on this play, this was a big play. On 3rd and long, getting enough yardage to put themselves in a position to kick a field goal to go up some more. So, not a flashy game, but he's done just enough to give the Titans the lead.
Here's Henry again. Well, when Henry has his game going, so much support for Mariota. And you know, we talked to Darius Leonard about how hard this guy is to bring down, and the first thing he mentioned was vision. You know, you look at Henry, 250 pounds, so physical, but his ability to get to the edge and then cut back. He sees the field so well, something that Leonard touched on in our conversation yesterday.
Yeah, he is. He's such a unique back in the way he gets to that edge and then to find the cutback. So you have to be so good and so disciplined when you're outside because, again, you do not want him to get ahead of steam on a cornerback or a safety around the corner.
Henry just on an absolute tear after you saw last season, that slow start. And here he is again. Henry breaking free. That'll be the final play of the quarter as this Indianapolis defense gassed 18 yards as Henry now gashes them up the gut. End of 3 in Nashville. Titans by 4. Back after this, you're watching the NFL on CBS. As we start the 4th quarter, tightly contested game. Don't forget where Tennessee was right around this time. They had a 2-point lead last week, late 3rd quarter in Cleveland before they just blew the doors off the Browns, scored 28 straight points to pull off that 43-13 victory. Here's Dion Lewis. Will sneak his way inside Indianapolis territory. And again, this is where that heat could start to become an issue. Colts have had a couple of extended defensive drives. And so the Titans will have it 2nd down.
It does, and you see a lot of hands on the hips right now. So the Colts, somebody up front's got to make a play here. And the Colts have to try and find in this 4th quarter to take the ball away. They don't have a takeaway yet in this game, and to get back in this, they've got to take it away from Tennessee.
Another read option play by Mariota, faking the handoff and throws a bullet. A.J. Brown with the reception. 1st down Titans. A pickup of 11.
Little zone read. You know what's interesting when you watch Mariota? He loves to attack the middle of the field until he breaks the pocket. When he breaks the pocket, that's when he goes to the sideline. And what a great catch. He's been quiet today, but a nice catch on the sideline from the rookie Brown.
Second catch for Brown. He had 3 receptions for 100 yards in his NFL debut last week. 1st and 10 from inside the Colts 40. Henry, as they continue to lean on this Indianapolis defense. Keep in mind, Colts playing without Kemoko Turay, their very impressive second-year defensive end. Had been dealing with a neck injury. He was doubtful or kind of questionable going into their game last week. He played, but re-aggravated the neck, so they're without Turay, who had a sack and a forced fumble in that overtime loss against the Chargers. 2nd and 10. Mariota trying to fake him out again. Excellent recovery as they bang him out of bounds, and Mariota takes a shot. Khari Willis. And Mariota, boy, you don't want him taking that kind of a pounding.
No. I'm a little surprised that he's run as much as he has today. It's such a great job by Willis, the rookie 5th rounder. Great play on Mariota, and I'm telling you, Mariota has to stop the habit of jumping. I mean, look at how he lands. I mean, he almost comes down. Like, you jump as a quarterback, you greatly increase your chances of getting hurt. He's got to protect himself.
Where does he go here on 3rd and 10? Up the seam, it's incomplete. And there's the flag. Corey Davis was the intended receiver, and Quincy Wilson the man on the coverage. Well, keep in mind, Mariota missed that Week 17 battle here in a winner-take-all game.
This is so
neck
close,
injury.
by the way. This is so close in real speed.
Pass interference. Defense.
Boy.
Number 31. Ball in place to the spot of the foul.
Archie,
First
saw
down, Tennessee.
a little bit of a tug of the jersey.
But they didn't call holding. They called pass interference. Look, we saw it go the other way for the Titans. To me, Wilson is playing sticky, tight, press man, and they're battling for the ball.
You challenge here if you're Reich?
I don't think there's enough to overturn it. I don't think that they're going to overturn that. But I'm just saying, in my opinion, those are the plays where you've got to let them play. I think that was good coverage by Wilson, but the Colts benefited from one the other way with the Titans earlier in the game. So what are you going to do?
Turns out to be a 14-yard penalty. Spoken like a former DB. Pitch play. Henry finds the edge. And this extended drive for Tennessee continues. Henry just 22 rushing yards in the first half as he's tackled here by Anthony Walker, but starting to become a factor now. Arch in that triple-digit heat down on the field.
Yeah, this is the kind of drive you want if you're Tennessee. You know, you're not in a hurry. You've got a 4-point lead. You're controlling the game. You're running the football. There is no rush right now, and this is exactly the drive and the way Tennessee needs to play this drive. Now they just have to find a way to turn it into points.
Little misdirectional play here. This is Humphreys. Hasn't been a factor yet in the passing game, and well played that time by that Indianapolis front. Khari Willis on the tackle.
Second
Jacoby
time.
Brissett, long time sitting on that sideline.
Second time here on this drive we've seen the rookie make a nice play flying out of the secondary on the edge. I think for the most part in this game, the Colts defense have protected the edge well. You know, you've seen Henry pop a couple runs inside, but they have done a really nice job protecting the outside here against the Titans offense.
On 3rd and 5, Mariota. Protected, pocket collapses, they get to him. Way back at the 29-yard line, Darius Leonard said he had the worst game of his young career last week in LA. 4th sack of Mariota for this defense.
Look at this play. Darius Leonard just spying and mirroring Mariota. Look how he just comes right up there, beats the center, and then gets Mariota in the backfield. That is outstanding. What a job by the Colts after giving up a pass interference automatic first down to force the Titans to kick a field goal in this drive.
Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. First team All-Pro. Most tackles by a rookie since Luke Kuechly, and the field goal is no good. Santos misses from 45 yards out. And Indianapolis, their deficit still at 4 on CBS. Now, both teams have missed a critical kick. Santos missing a 45-yard field goal attempt a moment ago, so Tennessee's lead still at 4. Of course, Vinatieri missed that point after back in the first half. Here is Hines out of the backfield. He's been dangerous as a pass catcher. We saw what he did as a rookie last year, over 400 yards receiving. Reminder to stay tuned. The State Farm postgame show comes your way next. JP, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach will take you around the league, scores and highlights, all to come on the State Farm postgame show.
Really, it's kind of been the same type of game for both quarterbacks. Brissett has 139 yards. He does have the 2 turnovers. And Mariota only 133 yards. So not a lot of downfield passes for either quarterback. But Brissett's going to have to make some plays here in this fourth quarter.
Little misdirectional play again. Mack gets out to the 40-yard line. So Jacoby Brissett taking over the reins from Andrew Luck. 17th start of his career, nearly brought the Colts back with that frantic comeback last week. 15 unanswered points, forcing overtime before they came up short against the Chargers. Where do they go here on third down?
This is where Brissett has to make a play. Now, you go back to last week, his best throws in crunch time were outside where he threw some nice back shoulder routes to his receivers. But the Colts haven't been able to beat the man coverage of the Titans secondary, so he's going to have to make a tight throw.
Here they come. Brissett, another Houdini. But they are able to wrap him up on that second chance. Boy, he has been slippery today.
Wait till you see this move by Jarrell Casey. How quick and how fast this is. Beautiful hands. Setting up the right guard, and then swimming over to get that penetration on Brissett. What an outstanding play by Jarrell Casey. We haven't said his name much in this game, but he is dominant force up front for the Titans.
Casey, a Pro Bowler each of the last 4 years. As Brissett got a little bit of an assist from his guard, Quentin Nelson. Casey doesn't run into him. That may have been a sack. Jackson watches this one take a Titans bounce into the end zone. So it will be a 60-yard punt. And Mariota will have it from his own 20. Up 4 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Amazon Prime. One-day delivery on millions of items with Prime. And by Microsoft Surface.
Oh, tip of the cap to our camera operators, players, and officials and coaches. Not the only ones dealing with that oppressive heat down on the field. Terrific job. Some of the most talented in our business bringing these pictures from Nashville. As Marcus Mariota and this offense back onto the field. Henry, no room to maneuver against that Indianapolis defense. Pierre Desir, we've been told, is out for the rest of the game, a knee injury. And so the rookie Rocky Seam, the young man that they took second overall, second round, I should say, 34th overall. Arch out of Temple now thrust into a bigger role.
Really excited now. He played 43 plays last week, but really like his skill set and what he brings to the table. Excellent at man coverage, but here in the fourth quarter against the Titans, he's going to have to come up and tackle the edge.
That's Humphreys in motion. Lone setback is Dion Lewis. This is Lewis out close to the 25-yard line. Al-Quadin Muhammad. Arch, take us into the mind of Arthur Smith, Tennessee's first-year offensive coordinator. You're just trying to run that clock. You take some shots down the field. What do you try to do?
Yeah, your first priority is to run as much clock as possible. Right now, the clock really is the Colts' enemy, and so you want to keep that on your side. So the more time you can wind off. Now, you've got to be able to pick up first downs, which the Titans haven't been able to do much here on third down, but certainly draining the clock is of high priority.
Colts defense trying to get off the field. Mariota taking a chance on 3rd and 5, and it's incomplete. Off the hand of Malik Hooker, who had that incredible one-handed interception last week in the end zone.
Almost had another one.
Led to the game-tying Colts drive at the end of regulation. You're right.
This was a dangerous pass. I mean, Mariota's trying to get this ball over the linebackers, but watch both safeties converge on this, and they are real fortunate. Now, they haven't thrown the ball downfield much at all, and so I'm surprised in this part of the game that Mariota would take that shot. He was very fortunate to dodge that one.
This is Rodgers. He's going to play it from around his own 20. So good starting field position. 11 yards on the return, 55 yards on the punt by Brett Kern. 4-point Tennessee lead on CBS. Pivotal early season matchup, divisional battle in the AFC South. Tennessee 17-13, and so far this Dean Pease-led defense doing its job again.
Really kind of the difference in the game. That pick leading to 3 points. They've done a nice job shutting down this run and just not giving these receivers a lot of open space to throw the ball. And they've started to, here in this last part of the game, put some heat on Jacoby Brissett. So I think both defenses have really played well and have shut down the offense.
Brissett, the pump fake on first down, goes to Mack, his check down. Yeah, we spent some time with Logan Ryan on Friday, and he just waxed poetic about how incredible it's been to play for a guy like Dean Pease, who of course has coached Hall of Famers over the years. But he said that Pease's ability to change with the times, you know, the RPOs now that Pease didn't have to coach against back in the day. He's so adaptable to how the game has changed. One of the great coordinators we've had in the sport.
He's coached a lot of the all-time greats with his time at Baltimore, and you know, this defense really kind of adapts from week to week. You never know exactly what kind of game plan you're going to come up with.
He's certainly among the best over the last decade or so, going back to his days in Baltimore alongside Bill Belichick. Second down run here by Mack again will set up. Well, this will be a first down. We'll see where the officials mark it, and they do say first down Indianapolis. It's a pickup of 7.
Well, let's be honest here. This is when nobody's going to turn on the tape tomorrow morning and say this is an offensive clinic by either team. I mean, Indianapolis has 224 yards of total offense. Tennessee has 206 yards of total offense. So, you know, it just comes down to here in the fourth quarter, can Brissett and the Colts make 1 or 2 plays that are the difference?
Here's Wilkins breaking free. Wilkins, it's a foot race. Inside the 10, finally chased out of bounds by Vaccaro. Jordan Wilkins showing the wheels, and it will be first and goal Colts. 55-yard sprint.
Wow, just when we said the Colts have to make a play, these backers fill in the wrong gap, and there's nobody to fill on Jordan Wilkins going downhill. Linebackers get out of the gap. You get an excellent block up front by Braden Smith. And this thing is out the gate, and the Colts right now are set up in business inside the 5-yard line.
Marlon Mack checks back in. First goal. Pass to the end zone. It's caught. Hilton for the touchdown. They go right at Malcolm Butler, and back come the Colts.
Unbelievable. Look at this release by T.Y. Hill. Great release to shake Butler to the outside. And what did we say earlier in the game? Jacoby Brissett's best throws are the back shoulder. He used it twice last week against the Chargers, and then he does it again, and now it's up to Vinatieri to put him up by 3.
It sounds crazy to say, but you have to maybe think of the psyche of Vinatieri, who's missed all of these kicks. 3 last week. He missed a point after today. And this to try to make it a 3-point Indianapolis lead. What a drive orchestrated by Brissett. Good snap, good hold. Vinatieri's kick is off the uprights. Incredible.
That is not happening, is it? Wow.
Almost impossible to believe as Vinatieri misses again, his 3rd missed PAT in a game and a half.
That is unbelievable. He just kind of slices it right.
Adam Vinatieri, a guy who has kicked some of the most incredible pressure field goals in the history of the sport. And a lot to think about as Indianapolis's lead will stay at 2 points.
Wow. This is a crazy game, man. Crazy, crazy game.
Colts and Titans back and forth. And you have to think by the end of the season, the outcome of this game will loom large in the AFC South, a division that always seems like it's up for grabs. And Vinatieri still shaking his head. Coming up, once again, the State Farm postgame show from New York. JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cowher take you around the league on this second Sunday of the NFL season. The State Farm postgame show is next. Well, as we all try to gather our thoughts on Vinatieri, Marcus Mariota and this offense back onto the field, suddenly playing from behind. Mariota fakes the handoff. He's good off the play action, nearly picked. Boy, Mariota, who had avoided the big mistake. And Bobby Okereke is going to want that one back.
I think if Okereke doesn't jump, then he just catches this ball.
The third-round pick out of Stanford. And we'll see if that one comes back to haunt Indianapolis.
You never know which play is going to be the difference. Look for Mariota to attack inside here against the Colts cover 2 defense.
Henry lines up, split out bottom of your picture. That pass deflected in the air, and again dangerous in the vicinity of another potential interception by the Colts secondary. A.J. Brown was the intended receiver. There's Malik Hooker, who has been so lights out for this Colts defense. 3rd and 10 coming up.
This is just an incredible job. We call this a flat foot read. Watch Hooker read the slant and just come downhill. He sees it, goes downhill. That is outstanding safety play by Hooker.
Mariota has missed his last 3 attempts. Where does he go here on 3rd and 10? Pocket starts to collapse. Wobbly pass, it's caught. Now they're very close to the first down marker. Sharp, if he just stayed and kind of fell forward, he had the first down, he went back.
If he just falls forward, but I think they're going to give him forward progress here.
Arch, I think they're short, well short, about a yard short of the marker. On 4th and 2, Mariota and company line up over center.
No, they're just going to take this timeout. You're not going to, you got to think about exactly what play you want to run right here. This is a huge play in this game.
Or perhaps they'll just punt. We'll see what they do here. Looks like they'll run that play clock down as much as they can. Wow. And everyone will catch their breath. We'll take another look at where Sharp was when he caught the football. Tennessee needing right around the 35-yard line.
Nope,
his left foot, football has to cross. Again, that first down marker not 100% exact.
Nope, the ball does not cross the first down line, but to me, you've got to know the situation. Catch that ball and dive forward, get the first down. There is no reason why that shouldn't have been a first down for the Titans.
And Sharp not helping his quarterback on that sequence. As Tennessee punts. Terrific coverage down the field. 47 yards on the punt by Kern. Dane Cruikshank among the tacklers. Chris Milton also there. Terrific special teams play when Tennessee needed one badly. And now Dean Pease hoping his defense can make a stop and do it quickly, with Indianapolis holding a 2-point lead.
I mean, who would have thought? Tennessee had been doing such, both defenses really, they've really done a good job controlling these offenses. And just when we thought maybe Tennessee's defense, I mean, we just showed a defensive package on Tennessee, how good they were doing here in the second half. And then who would have thought that Jordan Wilkins would have ripped off a 55-yard run to help set up the go-ahead touchdown? just an amazing turn of events here in the fourth quarter.
Marlon Mack, the long setback as they begin from just outside their own 25. Mack finds the edge out to the 30. There is a marker thrown. Far side of the field in front of the Indianapolis sideline.
Offside. Defense, number 99. Lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's the four-time Pro Bowler Casey. Mike Vrabel, the memories of that Week 17 loss to the Colts here still vivid for him. There's another look at Casey moving a little bit too early.
Almost times it up perfectly, but just a little bit offsides. Now Mike Vrabel, depending on what happens after this play, has to start thinking about using those 3 timeouts before the 2-minute warning.
Handoff to Mack. Well done by the Tennessee defensive front. Harold Landry on the tackle. So now the game management, the time management looming so large between these coaches. Mike Vrabel will take his first here. 3:20 left. First timeout taken by the Titans. Still, of course, the 2-minute warning. But boy, how huge have the special teams been for both of these teams. Both kickers have missed kicks. Multiple missed PATs by Vinatieri as his meltdown continues. Then Santos on the miss from 45 yards out, and Vinatieri off the upright minutes ago.
Well, at least for both teams, you've got one phase playing well, and that's the defense. They just have to figure out the other two.
2nd and 8 for Brissett from their own 28. Brissett, quick strike. Hilton, boy, had a step. Butler on the coverage. And a little bit too much from Brissett.
And he almost had it. T.Y. Hilton with another great release right there. Has a step on Butler. But Brissett just leads him a little bit too far to the sideline. And now because of the incomplete pass, you saved Mike Vrabel from calling his timeout. And so now he gets to keep that timeout. And you've only burned off a few seconds off the clock. That is a low percentage risky pass play on 2nd down from Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett looking. Gonna tuck it away, run for it. Needs the 36. He's right there. Jayon Brown on the tackle.
Oh, what a great tackle by Brown. I don't think Brissett got this, did he?
Boy, pretty favorable spot for the Colts. Initially, you thought maybe he was a hair short. Again, the Colts needed the 36. Great look at it here. Oh, boy.
I mean, if he got it, it's by about 2 inches of the nose of the football crossing over the line.
Still outside 2 minutes, so
and I mean,
can challenge the spot. And appears to be short.
So to me, there's nothing on that replay that says that you can challenge it to show that he's going to pick up the first down. So now it's like Frank Reich keeping his offense on the field here, huh?
Now, one thing Reich talked about, the confidence that they have in this offensive line, rebuilt with the drafting of Quentin Nelson last year.
Listen, I get it. I get what you're trying to do, but when you've got a 2-point lead and your defense has played lights out, I don't see how you go for it in this field position on 4th and short.
3 tight ends for the Colts, where we've seen Reich gamble before. Let's see if they snap. 4th and inches.
Both A-gaps taken up, so they probably aren't going to sneak it. I just can't see how you run this play.
Brissett calls Ebron back. Now from the gun. They won't snap it.
Good job for the Titans. Not going for the fake there, but certainly it's a good try, because if you get the Titans to make a mistake, then you get a free first down. But I mean, if you're the Titans right there, you just got to know, like, there is absolutely no way the Colts are going to run that football.
We had Indy last year early in the season, that divisional game against Houston, where Reich went for the 4th down. Didn't go their way, but an early glimpse into his psyche. Doesn't roll the dice here. And so he will put the onus on his defense, coached by Matt Eberflus.
That would be really rolling the dice.
His offense still on the field. Arch, maybe they are going for it.
I don't know. Hey, if it works out, great. But, I mean, this is a huge risk.
So after the timeout, Reich thought about it. Sends his offense out again.
They've got to protect against the quarterback sneak.
They go for it. Did he get it? Wow. What a gamble by Reich. We'll see where the officials spot this football. You see the yard marker for the first down at the top of your screen. They need the 36.
And I don't know how you accurately spot this football either.
Well, you talk about confidence in your offensive line. First down, Colts. Amazing.
Listen, like all gambles, if it works out, then it's awesome. But it's a huge risk. We'll see it right here. Good surge by the Colts offensive line. And then again, I don't know how you possibly accurately spot that ball. But it certainly looked like there was enough push up front to give Brissett and the Colts the first down.
Frank Reich, the old riverboat gambler suddenly.
Man, could you imagine if that doesn't work out? I mean,
but Arch, doesn't that empower you as a group, as an offensive line? Your coach showing the confidence in you?
Only if it works. I mean, everything, it all comes down to risk reward. If it works, then it's always a great decision. But football is a game of mitigating risk. And if you're willing to live with the consequences if you don't pick it up, then those are the decisions that you make as a head coach.
Reich's playing to win as that aggressiveness has continued with his play calling. 2-point lead. 2:20 left.
I would say that qualifies as aggressive.
Fresh set of downs for Jacoby Brissett in this Indianapolis offense as they snap it just outside their own 36. Mack evading the initial tackler as Rashaan Evans had him in the backfield. Couldn't squeeze him. Jarrell Casey on the tackle. And Tennessee will take their final timeout.
I mean, I don't know if in that situation, I don't think I've ever seen a coach take that chance. Have you? I mean, there may be some outliers, but I mean,
it was actually a very similar set of circumstances. The game we had last year with Indianapolis is one of the early games in the season in his tenure against Houston on their side of the field.
But it was still different because now you're thinking, you know, tie, it's overtime, you know. That qualifies as a gutsy decision when you've got a 2-point lead and you're basically have the chance of giving up the ball in field goal range.
Now, can they finish this thing off? Still not out of the woods just yet by a long shot. Evans on the tackle of Mack. And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. What a finish here in Nashville. Early season battle in the AFC South with the Colts in front by 2.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon, the network more people rely on. And by FanDuel. This season, there's more ways to win on FanDuel.
Oh, what an intense finish here in Nashville. AFC South battle between these two foes, so familiar with one each other. Colts have dominated the head-to-head series. 3rd and 9. Does Reich take a chance with his quarterback throw here? Or maybe a run to try to keep that clock going. And we'll keep it on the ground to Mack. They're short, but they will run that clock down. Titans are out of timeouts, as the Colts will punt here with just over a minute left. And again, Tennessee out of timeouts. So that gamble by Frank Reich buys them a couple of minutes.
A lot of time.
As they will run that clock down. And now it will come down to Tennessee's offense against this Colts defense.
My heart's still beating from that. I mean, it's got to credit Frank Reich does not play this game scared. That is one thing you know about Frank Reich.
Well, they need a big punt here from Sanchez. They booted away right around his own 25-yard line, and he did not get a lot of leg. We'll see where the officials mark this football as it lands just inside the Tennessee 25-yard line. And they will have it from just short of their own 30. Only a 35-yard punt from Sanchez. And now Marcus Mariota, who led the Titans to that monstrous opening day win in Cleveland last week. Probably the biggest surprise of the opening weekend of the season. Does he have some late game magic up his sleeve?
Well, he's got plenty of time. They've got to go about, roughly 40 or so yards to get in the field goal range. There's 1 minute and 7 seconds left, so you probably have time, depending on if you can stop the clock, for 4 or 5 plays to set your offense up.
Titans out of timeouts, 65 seconds. Mariota with a completion to get the drive started. Walker, or if there's one guy more than anyone else on that Colts sideline hoping that the defense can come through, it's Adam Vinatieri. That missed PAT keeps the Colts lead at only 2. Mariota again tucks it away, still on his feet. Across the 45 to the 47, tackled by Hooker. First down, Titans.
If you can run a play here, you know what defense the Colts are going to be in, so you can get them.
Quickly spikes it to stop the clock. A 15-yard run by Mariota, again putting his body in harm's way. 31 seconds remaining.
What a great finish to this game. So now we're looking at, what, about 17 yards or so? Maybe that they have to pick up, so you've got the time. Now, if you complete this ball inbounds, you're going to run off about 10 to 14 seconds, depending on how far downfield it is. So you've got to keep that in mind. And here on second down, if you don't pick up the first, spiking it becomes a problem.
Now pass complete. A.J. Brown going to be about 1.5 yards short of the first down. Gethers on the tackle, and that clock is moving.
You've got to run a play here. If you spike it, it's 4th down.
They do indeed spike it. And now they're going to rely on Mariota to try to convert a 4th down.
See, to me, you just run a quick play to the sideline. You know what defense you're going to be in, so you run a quick play to the sideline, and at least you have a chance to pick up the first down. But now it's 4th down, and this is your only shot. So if it's incomplete and you run a play to the sideline, you still got another chance on it. But now you're putting it all on this 4th down on whether or not you can pick it up, and you still have the issue of clocking it because time's running out.
4th and 2. Mariota's pass on the cross, incomplete. Through the hands of Brown. It was Quincy Wilson on the coverage. "11 seconds left, and Adam Vinatieri breathing a huge sigh of relief.
A great play by Quincy Wilson to break up this pass. Number 31 on the right side of your screen in press coverage. The ball is a little bit high, going to the rookie A.J. Brown. But to me, that was set up. I don't believe that they handled that 2-minute drive efficiently, and they should have ran a play on 3rd and short rather than spike it and only have 1 down to pick it up.
Brissett takes a knee, and this one will end in Indianapolis's favor as their mastery over the Tennessee Titans continues. 19-17 the final as the Colts get their first victory of the season. The State Farm postgame show is next as Tennessee falls to 1-1. For Adam Archuleta, our producer Jason Ross, Jim Cornell, our director Spiro Dita saying so long from Nashville.